terms, and it is connected to oral literature and connected to the theme of the seminar. Although as a writer I will sound a little, we look back at the past 20 years of Northeast writing, we can see that we've made a lot of strides. More than 20 years ago, we were struggling to get published by mainland publishers. It was a big struggle. So we started the Northeast Writers Forum, and writers from Meghalaya, from Assam, from Manipur, Nagaland, Arunachal, and Tripura. There was one poet, so we used to get together and make a journal. That was the first effort, and that paid off because slowly in the past 20 years the Northeast writers began to be published. But now the Penguin, for example, Penguin publishers, they have a separate section. They've started something called Northeast 8, and which means the 7 sisters and the brother Sikkim. Sikkim always calls itself the brother because originally it was not part of the 7 sisters. So they are showcasing writers from the Northeast under this Northeast 8. And that's very exciting. It's a first. Then the other thing that we are excited about is that universities, syllabi all over India, they are slowly including books from the Northeast. Maybe not in the main curriculum, but a lot of scholars are picking up Northeast writers to write their PhD on. So this brings the Northeast writers into prominence. So all this is happening, all these are things that we consider as achievements. But my second point is that it's early to start celebrating because we have a lot of baggage. So it's too early to start celebrating. We have some things that we need to deal with, and that brings me to point 3. And it's something that Professor Kabi has raised, and I'm so glad you've done that. The Northeast writing, books from the Northeast, we are still plagued by stereotyping. And number 4 is that mass media had created, way before literature from the Northeast came on the scene, mass media had created many stereotypes about the region. So people who've never been to the Northeast, who live in Indian cities, they have a picture of the Northeast. They think we're fighting each other all the time. They think the Northeast is burning, and it's because of the tabloids. And even respectable newspapers and news magazines, when they come, they want sensational stories about the Northeast. And if you give them beautiful, peaceful stories, they're not interested. So this stereotyping has affected our literature as well, because the 5th point that I want to raise is the result of the stereotyping is that we've been subjected to labeling and to primitivization, and it has created false expectations from literature of the Northeast and in literature of the Northeast. So these are the things that I want our scholars to be aware of, but I'm sure you're aware of it, and also I encourage you to work on these things. Then number 6 is that we have a big role to play, and we have to stop accepting the labels. We have to stop accepting the definitions of the Northeast. Some years ago, I was invited to speak at a seminar in a college in Nagaland, and the topic sent to all the colleges by the UGC was to discuss marginalization and to see ourselves as marginalized people. And I really became very upset about it, and I told them, we are not marginalized. Do not accept this. Do not accept definitions and labels of the Northeast. If they say we are marginalized, whose margins are we? That's the question we should all ask, and I encourage you to ask that. And this is one label we should never accept. We are not the marginalized. We are our own centers. We have to think of that. We are our own centers. Let us redefine ourselves. I was so proud of Arunachal University when I walked around the campus. I wish I could walk around the whole campus. I'm not strong enough, but last night when we entered, it was just like entering a bit of heaven. It's so beautiful and it's peaceful in the morning. We went for a few walks. It's peaceful, it's so clean, and we can see where your leaders are putting public money, investing public money. Because in many states, including my home state, our leaders, they're very careful with money. They put it in a safe place, and that is in their pockets. So it's very safe there. Whereas here, I see that you put it in your roads, you put it in a very important place, that is the university. So you're putting it in the future, which other states may think is a risk, but actually it's the most beautiful thing to do. So let us remember we are our own centers, and let us redefine ourselves, not according to how people define us, but we need to have definitions of ourselves. And in this point number 6, I want to give you a quote, and you can use it. I'd like to say, be very suspicious of any institution or any region that sets itself up as the center. I'll repeat that. Be very suspicious of any institution or any region that sets itself up as the center. Why? Because that is dictatorship. That's how dictatorship begins. So let's take that home. Then proceeding from there, I just want to add Indigenous. I'm an Indigenous person. Many of you are Indigenous people, and Indigenous does not mean less intelligent. It does not mean less intellectual or less creative. So we need to. It's not less anything. We need to redefine ourselves. Number 7. Let us appropriate the right to present our literature according to our own terms, and do not try to fit into ready-made molds and templates made for us by those who don't understand us. This is something that I learned from an Adivasi writer. He was very sad, and he said, people just want to make a mold and say Indigenous writing is like this, and they expect us to fit into that. And he said it makes him weep. So I thought I would share this with an audience like yours. For many years we have been written about. So when I look at anthropological writing on the Nagas, we look so terrible. They always talk about us as barbaric savages, and according to them we're just going on killing each other and taking each other's heads. Whereas the elders that I've sat down with, they present such a beautiful culture. It's a culture that respects life. And the head hunting was for another age when men had to protect their families, protect their villages against enemy warriors. So a great misunderstanding of us is to be found in anthropological writing. And any occasion when others write about us, but now is the time that we are writing ourselves. And when we write ourselves, let's write from a place of confidence, and that confidence is in the way God created us, because God created us beautifully, fearfully and beautifully, says the Bible. So from that angle, from that position, we can write truthfully about our beautiful cultures. Then number 8, I want to say number 8 that we have our own universe. So this is connected to the templates that sometimes academic bodies make templates for Indigenous literature. But the truth is we have our own universe, and if we try to fit into someone else's universe, the universe that someone else makes for us, then we will lose ourselves, we will no longer be ourselves. So that's the 8th point to remember. And the 9th point, this is a problem that I want to present to the scholars to encourage them to solve it. And we should not hesitate to make these terms because they are relevant. I write about the spirit world. I write historical fiction, and I've also begun to write about the spirit world because that is also part of my reality. It's a parallel universe which is not fantasy, but which I, as an indigenous person, and those of you who are indigenous, we accept as part of our reality. And it's such a beautiful reality. The spirit world is real to us. It's not just us here in India, but in Norway. 2 weeks ago I was on a panel with a Sami writer. The Samis are who are called the Laplanders, the reindeer herders, who are the original inhabitants of North Norway. So he was also talking about the same problem. He said, my books are not magic realism, they are Sami realism. So this is a problem that faces not just us, but indigenous writing all over the world. And then I want to pick on what Professor Rikam said about language, because that's such a relevant point. I used to wonder why non-indigenous scholars have problems understanding indigenous writing, and then my conclusion was, oh, it's because they don't have the DNA. You need to have indigenous DNA to understand indigenous writing. But then that is sad because it leaves out non-indigenous scholars. So the solution for non-indigenous scholars is come and be part of the community, live there. If you live there, even if you don't have the DNA, you can acquire the language, and the language will give you avenues into the culture. And just living there will give you knowledge about the culture. And be teachable, be not all-knowing, because I've seen a lot of scholars who are very presumptuous. They think they know it all just because they've read some theory. But that is not the right way to approach it. Have the desire to learn, and just be humble. You learn so much by being humble. Then number 11 is I encourage you to read this writer. She's a Dakota writer, writing in the early 20th century, an educationist. Her name is Ella Cara Deloria. I'll give you the name later. And she said, when Western theories are used to explain indigenous literature, it's like fitting a circle into a square. So this is very relevant for us in the 21st century. It's like fitting a circle into a square. And the problem that we are discussing today is trying to fit indigenous literature into Western frames and trying to read it with a Western perspective. And this will always end in frustration. So again, we need indigenous theory to study indigenous literature. I can't harp on this enough. Then number 12, I want to mention that there's a tendency to reduce and primitivize indigenous literature. There's a dismissive attitude towards literature from the Northeast in places that consider themselves the center, and they think that everything we write from here is folktale based. And there's a primitivizing attitude towards the folktale. So scholars, you have homework to do. You need to rescue the folktale. It's not just a simple tale, and you need also to rescue the folklore, the lore of the folk. Why? Because lore of the folk is the community wisdom with which our ancestors have led their beautiful lives all along. And there's so much beauty and so much wisdom in folklore. And how do we stop people from reducing it and primitivizing it? It's very simple, by not accepting a non-indigenous understanding of what folklore is. So that's our homework, all of us. Then I want to add that folk tales, these are not just stories, simple stories that simple-minded people are telling, seated around a fire. That is reducing the folktale. The truth, we used to have village gates, and village gates were so effective in the past. If you close the gate, unwanted visitors or guests will not come in, and especially enemy warriors cannot come in. But today, none of our gates are closed, all our gates are open. I don't know if you use village gates here, but it's dangerous. So we need to be the village gate. We need to protect what we have. We need to protect what goes out from here, and we need to safeguard our truths. And also, we should not submit to alteration to suit other people, to suit a majority template. And let us remember, we're not the margins. Let us recenter the center, and let us continue to write our literature on our own terms. Thank you so much, and bless you, Arunachal University.